Before I get into this video, I'm going to assume that you're going to doubt the things that I'm going to say in this video. And I don't blame you. There are countless of stupid dieting methods and workouts that you've tried and they have all failed. But this video is not your ordinary lose fat fast or 1 month body transformation. This is a video that will change your life. You will attract more women. You will gain respect of your friends. And more importantly, you will love yourself more during the process. In order for your life to change, I would like you to listen to everything I say in this video and take it seriously. If you can't do that, then you probably have a short attention span, probably derived from TikTok. I also want to congratulate you for clicking on this video because it really shows that you care about your health. The government has allowed these poisonous substances into our food to keep us hooked. It is not your fault that you are unhealthy, but it is your responsibility to go to the gym. It is your responsibility to progressively overload your workouts. It is your responsibility to eat healthier foods. You are strong enough to go against the toxic foods that your local fast food shop sells. I am on your side. If we fight together, as a group, as a tribe, then we will prevail against the control of the government that they have put you and your family under. If you want to join my movement, I recommend that you subscribe. You will become a part of a huge movement that will not only improve your life, but will also improve the world and others around you. I am leading my generation to glory. If you want to join, then I recommend you subscribe. Now let's get into the video. The single most important tip to building an aesthetic and athletic body is to change your identity, your self-image. Comes from your mind. Change your self-image. Stop viewing yourself as a skinny fat kid who feels bad about bodybuilding genetics. Stop viewing yourself as a lazy fat guy who spends his time eating junk food and playing video games. I am begging for you to not skip this section because this is the most important method for consistency. To change your self-image, tell yourself at least 50 times a day that you are something that you want to be. For example, it could be an athlete. It could be someone who likes a challenge. It could be a disciplined, hard-working man. When you ingrain these thoughts into your mind, you will subconsciously eventually do the actions that you tell yourself that you want to do. For example, let's think of a professional athlete. Would they be skipping their workouts just because they don't feel like it? Would they eat the junk food because that's what their impulse is telling them? We're all human. Athletes have impulses to eat unhealthy foods. But the difference between them and us, the people who can't be disciplined and eat healthy foods all the time, is the mindset. It's what they tell themselves every day. They tell themselves that I am a disciplined person. I don't eat junk food. I work out every day. If we don't tell ourselves that, then how can we not even compete with them? How can we even do the minimum basics? But a very important tip about giving yourself a self-image is that your self-image has to be flexible. And here's why. For example, if you called yourself an athlete, it wouldn't be a very flexible self-image. This is because, what if you got injured? I know it's quite pessimistic, but these things can happen. And if you keep telling yourself that you're an athlete and then you have an injury, you're no longer really training like an athlete, are you? You're not doing the workouts because you can't. So a more flexible image, a more flexible self-image would be something that can target a broader spectrum. For example, if you called yourself a disciplined and hard-working man, that can apply to almost anything in the world. And when you're calling yourself that, you can be disciplined in your work, your studies, the way you eat, your gym workouts, anything. And that's why I recommend you to have a flexible self-image like that. Now, into the physical aspects of actually building an aesthetic physique. The best shoulder to waist ratio is 1.6 to 1. So the length of your shoulders are 1.6 times longer than the length of your waist. That's the ratio you're trying to aim for to get the aesthetic V taper. And to do that, you need to know what the main aesthetic muscles are. These are the abs, the shoulders, the back, the neck, the legs, and the arms. Your arms consist of your biceps, triceps, and forearms. But obviously you must develop other muscles such as your chest or you'll look pretty goofy. And leg muscles, they consist of your quadriceps, your hamstrings, and your calves. And your tibialis anterior. You must remember that. But the last two that I've just mentioned, you don't really want to focus too much on that, because it's mainly the quads, hamstrings, and a bit of the glutes actually that make your body more aesthetic. And for the abs, you've got your abdominals and your obliques. If you want that more V-taper shape, if you want the more V-taper look, you don't really want to focus too much on your obliques. And for the shoulders, you have the lateral delts, the front delts, and the rear delts. So it consists of 3 sections of your shoulders. And for the back muscles, you have your lats and essentially the middle part of your back. And what you want to focus on with the back muscles are the lats. Now, if you really want to hit your abs and your core muscles, one good workout is farmer carries. Another one is swipers, and you can do swipers with a twist in order to hit obliques. And another one would be the plank. You can indirectly train your abs basically. You can indirectly train your core with other bodyweight exercises such as the squat or Romanian deadlift, which is why I personally don't train my abs, and my abs are still visible. And speaking of squats, to hit legs, you can do squats, lunges, split squats, squat jumps, or tuck jumps. The last 2 jump exercises that I mentioned are plyometric exercises, which can increase your explosive power, which does not directly lead to better aesthetics, but it will make you more athletic. To hit your back, you can do pull-ups or lat pull-downs. Do whatever you feel like doing. I just want to tell you that doing lat pull-downs will lead to a less functional and athletic physique than pull-ups would. To hit biceps, you can do bicep curls, chin-ups, or supinated push-ups. And to hit triceps, you can do tricep dips / bench dips, overhead tricep extension with a heavy object, or regular tricep extensions. And if you're really interested in hitting your neck, which is it's quite a strange muscle, but here are photos of someone with a skinny neck versus a larger neck, and you can genuinely see which person looks more masculine. And to train your neck, I don't recommend you really do all those equipment exercises because it takes too long and it's very frustrating. So like, I'll give you a couple of examples. So you can literally you can just push your neck side to side. So you put your neck down, and as soon as you go back, you kind of want to resist yourself from going back. So this arm, you want to push down, and as you're going back up, you want to push the neck up to create that resistance. And then as you're going down, you want to make it as difficult as you can. And then you do that. And to the forward variation, it's the same thing, but you're essentially doing it the other way. When you perform exercises, there are 3 main muscle movements that you want to focus on. These are contraction, relaxation, and isometric holds. In workouts, you really want to focus on the part of the exercise when the muscle stretches, i.e. relaxation. I'll give you an example. In a study, 2 groups of people performed pre-curls. They were assessing bicep growth. Those who performed only the bottom half of the curl, which is the relaxation, the extension, they had a 2.6 times growth in their biceps compared to the top half of the curl. So the people who did the top half of the curl had a 2.6 times less growth than those who performed the bottom part of the curl. So what I'd advise you when you're doing your workouts, you want to be focusing on the bottom half of the curl. And how I would tell you to do this, so for every 2 seconds that you do on the bottom half of the curl, you want to do 1 second on the top half. So it's a 1-2 tempo. So let's say a bicep curl. A bicep curl, you go up for 1 second, and then when you're going down, you want to do 2 seconds of it. And essentially, that's going to really help with muscle growth. It's going to really promote it. But I don't recommend you to use momentum when going back. When you're going back up on the workout, you don't want to be shaking and rocking. Because you see people doing bicep curls, they're really like shaking, they're pushing away. They look like they're working proper hard, but that can actually harm your muscle growth. It can actually hinder how well you can build your physique. And also, you want to focus on performing on a full range of motion. So when you're doing the bicep curl, you want to go fully up, you want to fully contract your arm. And when you're going back down, you want to fully lengthen the arm. You don't want your arm to be there, you want it to be there, fully lengthened, so you get that full range of motion, which can promote your muscle growth. Do this for all your muscle groups and you will see insane gains. Now, for your workouts, you really want to prioritize your compound lifts. A compound lift is essentially where you're hitting multiple muscles at once. So, for example, let's say a squat. That targets your quads, your glutes, and essentially it's kind of a whole body workout because as you're going down with a barbell, you're kind of trying to keep your body upright and your core is working in that part. Not as much, but it's still working. And then for a deadlift, it's working your back, that's what a compound lift is. And in the opposite aspect, a bicep curl, that's only really training your biceps if your arm is in a supinated position. So when you're doing that, that's a really isolated movement. That's not a compound lift because it's only working practically one muscle, one major muscle. So before you start any of your workouts, you want to do stretches before and after your workout. I plead to you, do these things because if you don't, you're risking chance of injury and harming your muscle gains. And when you're injured, your muscles will go so much slower. And whatever workouts you will choose, you want to focus on the basics first. So don't go in too hard, you want to gradually progress your training. For example, if I was trying to practice the movement of the squat, you want to focus on getting the range of motion first. You don't want to go too heavyweight yet, because if you're not even doing the basics, you may not be able to stimulate enough muscle growth to build that aesthetic physique. And for your workouts, you want to aim for 6 to 12 reps per exercise with 3 to 5 sets, because this is optimal for time under tension, which will stimulate your muscle growth. Regardless of your skill level, the best workout split is push-pull legs. This is because the muscles on each workout complement the workout muscles on each workout day complement each other very well. Your push day will essentially consist of your chest, your triceps, your front delts, and your lateral delts. Your pull day will consist of biceps, back, and rear delts. I separated rear delts from the two other deltoid muscles because the rear delts they complement the pull muscles more, hence why I'm going to include it in the pull day. And your leg day is going to consist of leg muscles such as the quads, the glutes, and you can also include the core if you really want to train that. You should essentially do this workout split. You should do push-pull legs once a week if you're a beginner, and then you can progress it to twice a week if you're more advanced, if you're getting more used to it. That's as simple as it gets. If you start twice a week as a beginner, you'll burn out quickly. If you're interested in my workout split, there's going to be a link in the description. The first link will give you my whole workout split, and if you really want to try it, then go ahead. And if you feel that you can do this quite well, then I would like you to comment in the description if this workout split is going to really help you. Do that workout split for like 3 months and see the progress that your body will make. If you're trying to train like your typical bodybuilder, the YouTubers that you see, them bodybuilding YouTubers with the huge arms or like they're all ripped and crap, they can make you look aesthetic. Some of them can, but more importantly, your health is going to take a hit, as well as your functionality, and I mean a huge hit. If your goal is to lose weight, I definitely recommend you to do low to mid intensity cardio every day to optimize your cardiovascular endurance and physical health. And the amount of cardio of this low intensity to medium cardio that you want to be trying to get every week is at least 150 minutes. You want to try and progress to that number. And a low to mid intensity cardio would be walking, depending on how difficult it is for you. But when you're more advanced, it shouldn't be cardio, it doesn't count. But jogging, that's always going to be cardio. Cycling, rowing, any of those things, they count as cardio. Skipping, if you can do this every day and try to aim for 150 minutes per week. Because what's the point in looking good if walking up a couple of stairs makes you feel tired? You can also achieve these 150 minutes if you're currently playing a sport. If you're a student like me, I recommend you join a school club to get some activity. For example, I do play football quite a bit. I'm in a school football team and we play games every week, and that's basically my activity for the 90 minutes that I probably play sometimes. Please gradually increase the frequency of your cardio, because if you start too high, then it can take a big toll on your bones and joints, because your body won't be used to that type of intensity, so it can really damage your bones. If you want to gain weight and you struggle eating a lot, I don't recommend you do a lot of cardio, because it will increase your maintenance calories, and therefore you need to eat more in order to stay in a surplus. So I recommend that you start to incorporate cardio later on when you have more muscle, in order to regain and maintain a lean physique. To maximize your muscle gain and minimize your fat gain, you need adequate sleep. 8 to 10 hours of sleep. Not hours in bed, hours of sleep. If you're around my age or younger, you should be aiming for around 9 to 10 hours. I'm 16 years old and I sleep for about 9 hours and 30 minutes. But you may need more or less sleep depending on your age. The older you are, the lower hours you should go on this spectrum. You may think that sleeping for 9 hours is too much, but this is where most of your muscle repairs come from, and it's where most of your gains will occur. With your workouts, you want to be focusing on progressive overload. So this is increasing the intensity, making your workouts more difficult every week or 2 weeks, let's say. Because it makes your muscles tear, like micro tears, and this is required for your muscles to grow via muscle protein synthesis. This is a term that you want to get essentially, and you may be wondering, how do we enhance this muscle protein synthesis? Which leads us onto our diet. In order to enhance muscle protein synthesis, your diet is very important. You want to aim for 1.5 grams to 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. The higher body fat percentage you are, i.e. if you're fat or skinny fat, you want to go for less protein. If you are a lower body fat, if you're more skinny, then you want to go for higher amounts of protein, because your body will prioritize your fat over your muscle if you're really low body fat. But if you get full easily from protein, you can always go lower on the amount that you eat. You also need to calculate your calorie maintenance. Your calorie maintenance is the amount of calories that your body needs to keep its weight the same. I'll give you the second link in the description, where you just fill out the information, your height, your age, your weight, your activity level, and it will give you the calories that you need to keep your weight. And once you have that, if you're trying to lose weight, you want to subtract your maintenance calories by 300 to 500. A calorie deficit is what will happen. And this is essentially where you lose weight because you're consuming less calories than your body uses. The larger the deficit, the faster the rate of fat loss, but you want to be careful as this rate plateaus and it eventually leads to muscle loss if you go on a really, really low deficit. And a really huge deficit, I mean. And another big problem is that it can make a diet less sustainable, because let's say you're used to eating 3,000 calories. If you end up eating 2,500. It could be quite challenging for you. So if you want to make it easier, you want to go for a smaller deficit. For example, 300 calories deficit. Now, if you're trying to gain weight, you want to add 200 to 400 calories to your current maintenance. This will lead you to a calorie surplus, which is where you gain more weight because you are consuming more calories than your body uses. The higher the surplus, the faster your muscle growth, but the higher the risk of fat gain. And you must remember that this muscle growth rate, the higher your surplus goes, the muscle growth will start to plateau near the end. So you won't gain any muscle by eating in a 1,000 calorie surplus any more than a 500 calorie surplus, but the fat gain will be so much more. Also aim to get at least 25% of fat in your daily calories. Don't go below 20% because it will mess up your hormones. You want to aim for at least 45% of carbohydrates because it will keep your muscle, your fuel stores in your muscle, your glycogen. It will keep them full and it will essentially increase your workout quality. So all these keto diets, whatever they tell you, you can follow that if you really think that you could, but for most people, it's not going to work. And also, for how you plan out your meals, how you eat, you want to be aiming for 3 to 5 meals daily, around 3 hours apart. So let's say I ate breakfast at 8 o'clock. I'd have my lunch around 12 maybe, and then I'd have a snack at 3 p.m. and then I'd have dinner at 6 p.m. That would be 4 meals, around 3 to 5 hours apart. It kind of varies. If you really find it hard to have 3 to 5 meals a day and you struggle to lose weight, then I recommend you try intermittent fasting. This is where you eat in a shorter period of time than you normally would do. For example, if you ate in an 8-hour window, you'd be fasting for 16 hours. So let's say I started eating at 10 a.m. and I ate from that time all the way to 6 p.m. That would be 8 hours where I've been eating, and I wouldn't be allowed to eat outside that time window. That would be intermittent fasting, and that would be a 16-8 fast. So I'm fasting for 16 hours and I'm eating for 8 hours. If you find this a bit too difficult, then you can gradually reduce your current eating window to this number, or even lower depending on how you personally feel. So you could start eating at a 10-hour window. So you have a 10-hour block where you can eat, or you can have a 12-hour block of when you can eat if you really find it difficult. Now that we have a broad idea of how much we should eat and how often we should eat, let's get into the specifics. You want to prioritize healthy, nutritious foods. Yes, there is such thing as unhealthy foods. But if you don't have too much unhealthy foods, you should be fine. You should be aiming for at least 70% of your diet consisting of nutritious foods. Nutritious foods consist of vegetables, fruits, legumes, meat, fish, and eggs, and whole grains and nuts. Foods that are unhealthy will normally contain ingredients such as sugar, seed oils, and a bunch of random ingredients that you might not have heard of. So let's think of a McDonald's burger. If you check the ingredient list of that, it will have so much things you don't even want to. There's not even a point in searching up all those ingredients. You can just tell it's unhealthy. But let's say an apple. It won't have an ingredients list because the only ingredient in an apple is apple. You also want to make sure that you're getting at least 30 to 40 grams of fiber every day. But you must progressively increase this intake towards 30 to 40. Because if you increase it too quickly, you're going to be on the toilet all day. You want to try and limit your added sugar intake to 30 grams. Added sugar is essentially sugar that's added to foods. So the sugar in an apple, that is not added sugar. However, the sugar in bread, let's say, that would be added sugar. If you really want to satisfy your sweet tooth though, I recommend you eat chewing gum or you have sugar-free beverages such as Diet Coke. No, they don't cause cancer because there's no scientific proof, but don't go overboard. 1 or 2 cans a day won't do much harm. Plus, if you're eating like crap every day, drinking Diet Coke would actually be a progression for you. You also want to make sure that 100% of the food that you're eating are foods that you enjoy, so that eating foods doesn't feel like a chore. You have to discover foods that you enjoy personally. There's a plethora of combinations. You'll find one. Always remember that a perfect diet is one that you can stick to. Don't eat foods that you don't like. I personally hate peanut butter, so I don't eat it. Although it's very healthy, there's alternative foods to peanut butter that I can eat. You may be worried about how to start eating healthy. It seems quite daunting to go onto a diet nowadays because all you see are these burn fat quickly diets and you don't know what to eat, you don't know where to start. So if you're struggling to get consistent, I recommend you start off with something as little as a goal that you can set. So eat 1 carrot every day for breakfast or any unhealthy food that you like. You can start off as small as you want and then gradually progress to eating larger portions of healthy food. And you can even apply this to workouts too. In a couple of weeks, you'll be amazed at how healthy you're eating now. You don't have to do everything at once. You didn't, as a baby, you didn't learn how to walk immediately. You gradually stabilized, your muscles gradually developed. You went from not being able to even crawl to start walking. And that took time as a baby because your brain started getting used to the motions of walking. That's how you got used to walking casually, and now you don't even think about it. That's how diet can be like. You can start off so small, it can feel a bit daunting, but if you just go through the days, you just experience the present moment, you just let these things pass by, and next thing you know, you'll be casually eating foods that are healthy. It'll just feel like nothing. It'll just feel like a lifestyle to you. But more importantly, always remember that you are a warrior. You are different, and you are going to change the world.